People think that New York is unaffordable, and they're not wrong because Manhattan is unaffordable, but New York itself is not. There's a train system that completely changes the calculation for where to live in New York. And in under 15 minutes, you can get from some of the most desirable areas in the entire metro area to Manhattan. Long Island Railroad. In under 15 minutes from Forest Hills, actually 13 minutes, to Manhattan and back. And I'm going to show you what that means. 124 stations, 11 branches, Long Island Railroad, a complete great equalizer when it comes to where to live in New York. This is Forest Hills, Queens. Tudor architecture, tree-lined streets, independent restaurants. A genuine neighborhood feel that Manhattan lost decades ago. The median rent for a one-bedroom here is roughly $2,200 a month. A comparable apartment in the West Village, 13 minutes away by train, costs $4,500 minimum. Same commute time as taking the subway across Manhattan, half the price. But Forest Hills is just one example. The Long Island Railroad connects dozens of neighborhoods just like this. Great Neck, Garden City, Manhasset, Bayside, each with their own character, their own restaurant scene, and their own identity. None of them feel like Manhattan, but all of them are closer to Midtown than most Manhattan residents realize. The Long Island Railroad is the busiest commuter railroad in North America. It moves roughly 300,000 people every single day across 700 miles of track. And it's been doing this continuously since 1834, making it one of the oldest railroads in the country, still operating under its original name. And just like that, we're here, 13 minutes to get to Penn Station. And voila, 13 minutes and $5, and we're here in Penn Station, Midtown Manhattan, Empire State Building, right there. Look at that. And if you look at the purchasing power, actually a lot of these European cities are like, oh, but it's only like $2 to actually get on the train. That's like 70% of the ticket here in New York for the subway, but they're not making just 70% of the income. They're making like less than half of the income. So yeah, this city is, in terms of transit, 100% well-connected and affordable. But what does that look like geographically? Let me show you, come here. So, Forest Hill 71st Avenue, this is the subway station, and this is the Long Island Railroad. Okay, so from here, all the way to here in 13 minutes. And then from here, you can literally go anywhere you want in Manhattan. The relationship between the LIRR and New York real estate is one of the most direct examples of transit infrastructure shaping urban economics anywhere in the world. Properties within walking distance of Long Island Railroad stations command significant premiums over comparable properties further from the line. Penn Station is the Long Island Railroad's main Manhattan terminal and one of the most used transit hubs in the Western Hemisphere. More people pass through it daily than any airport in the United States. It's also universally considered one of the worst public spaces in America. The original Penn Station, demolished in 1963, was described as one of the greatest public buildings ever constructed. Its demolition was so widely condemned that it directly led to New York City's landmarks preservation law, meaning the destruction of the original Penn Station is the reason buildings like Grand Central and the Flatiron are protected today. The new Penn Station opened in 2023 with the Moynihan Train Hall, a significant improvement, though the comparison to what was demolished is still painful to anyone who knows the history. But actually, I don't know about you, but I like modern buildings. And I actually like the design, to be honest with you, right? Yeah, it's not Grand Central, I'll give you that. Like, it's not that beautiful, it's not like old and glamorous, but it looks pretty modern, it looks efficient, it looks beautiful, you know, futuristic. So honestly, a bit controversial, but I'm a fan. What's missing here from this basically being like an airport? Because look at all the stores that are here. And also a lot of people talk about, like, you know, transit in America and in North America in general, but when they're complaining, they're not talking about this, because this place connects you with literally everything in the Northeast. You can go to Jersey, you go to Pennsylvania, Connecticut. You can basically go anywhere, and what would normally be like a 7-hour radius by car. So look at it. I mean, it has a bunch of shops, a bunch of stores. And in a way, it's probably even better than a lot of the airports that I've been to be honest with you. Grand Central Madison opened in January 2023 after decades of planning and $11 billion in construction costs. It's the LIRR's second Manhattan terminal, now giving Long Island commuters direct access to the east side of Midtown for the first time in the railroad's history. The engineering required to build a functioning terminal underneath an existing functioning terminal underneath Midtown Manhattan took 16 years and remains one of the most complex infrastructure projects ever completed in New York. The result is that the LIRR now connects to both sides of Manhattan, Penn Station on the west and Grand Central Madison on the east. For anyone living along the line, the entire island of Manhattan is now accessible within a single train ride. If you're considering moving to New York, I want you to think about this because a lot of people think that, they're comparing Manhattan neighborhoods or maybe Brooklyn, right? Or maybe Astoria. But the reality is that you don't have to choose between suburbs and Manhattan. There's a lot of these neighborhoods on the Long Island Railroad corridor that are some of the most desirable areas to live in the entire metro area. And what you can do is, by the way, we're not talking about suburbs again because this is not a suburb, okay? This is basically a dense area that is super walkable. It's not what people actually think when they think about suburbs. $2,200 for a one bedroom versus $4,500 in Manhattan. It's a big difference, and you get a lot of beautiful areas, okay, greenery. It does look kind of suburban, but it's not. There's plenty of restaurants, it's walkable, there's schools. Again, 13 minutes to Penn Station from here, and also to Grand Central. The people who figured out New York, the ones who've been here long enough to stop optimizing for Manhattan zip code, a lot of them live on the LIRR. They have more space, more money left at the end of the month, and the same commute time as most people in Manhattan. The LIRR is the infrastructure that makes New York actually livable for people who are not willing to pay Manhattan prices. It's been doing that for nearly 200 years. Most people just haven't been paying attention.